everyone. I'm Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend, Publish, and Lead, and welcome to episode 233, Paragraphing. This upcoming week, so we are recording this in the summer of 2025, we are going to offer a workshop on creating and revising academic paragraphs. And I wanted to use this episode to talk about a couple of things that we'll be doing in that webinar, but also moves that you can look at in your own writing to make sure that you're writing clearly and writing something that's publishable. One of the things that we will be working on in that paragraphing webinar is looking at the last sentence of academic paragraphs. So whether you wrote one paragraph or you wrote multiple paragraphs, we want to look at how those last sentences connect together to present a bigger picture of what's happening in your writing. And there's a lot of different moves that you can make doing that. So making sure that each sentence, if we isolated it and we just looked at those last sentences together, actually build a picture towards an argument, a narrative thread, or tell a story of some sort in your writing could be one way to look at it. Another thing that we'll be looking at is how individual paragraphs within scholarly writing can tend to tell mini stories. And so part of that would be the way that they are laid out from the first sentence to the last sentence inside the paragraph. Every sentence that's in between could be building towards something that's a little bit more specific, like a piece of evidence or something like that. The best known case of looking at academic paragraphs that I know of is Eric Hayot's Uneven You. It's a model that talks about how each sentence should build from the general to the specific inside a paragraph and then back out again. That'll be something that we'll look at in the workshop as well. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes if you want to see an Uneven You in action. Another way that you can look at paragraphing if you're trying to do some revision of your own writing is to decide what it is the paragraph is doing in terms of function. So that could be that this particular paragraph is explaining why a specific methodology was chosen, or it's talking about some aspect of the literature in a literature review. So thinking through a paragraph's focus and what's the contribution that the individual paragraph makes can sometimes be helpful. One of the things that we'll be doing in the webinar that is, again, free, so anybody can join, and if you want the recording, you can email me. One of the things that we will be looking at is where paragraphs aren't really doing that sort of a function. So you might have a paragraph that looks like a paragraph, but it's actually a half a paragraph because half of it belongs with something else. And so we'll be looking at organizational strategies to really look at how paragraphs could be read as mini essays in isolation. So there's lots of different resources out there on paragraphing, and I will put a whole slew of them in the show notes if this is something that you're interested in. But if you're listening to this in real time, there are still a few seats left for our free webinar on Thursday, June 26th in 2025, and I hope you join us. Happy writing this week.